This is Rockslapping Champions. Player 1, playing Zeratul. We have Sleazy. And player 2, playing Raynor. We have Kanakaname. So, let us have a look at the masters while the players get set up. Zeratul is a level 218 Ascension player with pretty much evenly split along all across the board. And generally, you want to pick one or the other here. Zeratul attack speed is pretty solid. The artifact spawn mastery is pretty much the ideal choice here. And this one, I usually go for the Legion cost, but there's also merit to going for the Avatar cooldown mastery. Raynor is a level 1000 Ascension player with research cost reduction, the Hyperion cooldown, and the mech attack speed. So we should be expecting a very mech-centric build here for Raynor. So let us see how this game will progress. Zeratul is slowly macroing up, so everything seems normal right now. Raynor has already put down one of the barracks, so they are going to be trying to clear their expansion right now. Usually what I like to do is I like to put down my command center first, before I put down my barracks. And while my command center is being worked on, I can then drop some marines a little bit later and clear the rocks there. So that makes your economy a little bit faster, but this is going to be a mech Raynor build. And we already have a mule here that is going to be improving Raynor's army significantly. What do we have in production for our Zeratul player? We have 3 gateways already on the way, and Zeratul has not even taken this expansion. So one of the things you have to realize is because Zeratul's units are very expensive, you don't need 3 gateways at the start of the game to get your units produced, because you cannot afford it. So the extra resources that Zeratul is spending right now is being wasted on these gateways that he's not going to be able to use at all, at least until like the 5 or 10 minute mark of the game. So it is very unfortunate, but this is indeed Rockslapping Champions. He's put down his cybernetics core and is already ready to go, and that will be produced as well. He's putting his cybernetics core over here, which is again kind of a risky move. If you're dealing with a Terran composition, you will get nuked from the low ground. So that's one thing to note about the Oblivion Express, is that the ghosts can see on the high ground and they will nuke you from the low ground. So if you, the ghost will stand here and it'll drop a nuke up here. So if you are playing Oblivion Express, make sure you build in this spot here. It's a little bit easier to handle. Zeratul has spawned, but he is not moving. He has a little bit of sleep paralysis, it looks like. And we can see we already have a vulture that has put down some spider mines here. So this is going to be Raynor's build. He's going to go for a full mech build here, which is really interesting. And let's see what the enemy composition is. So these units are going to be getting in here. I don't know if those are going to be enough spider mines to deal with it. Oh, there are a bunch of marines here, so these marines are going to be okay. We have a Banshee airstrike that ends up wiping out the rest of these marines. And now these Banshee airstrike will be moving towards the space. Zeratul has still not moved. So does Zeratul have APM? Yes, he does have APM. He is doing something. I'm looking at this list stat here. And he's finally decided to go and try and find his artifact fragment, but he may not know where it is. He's parked his 3 ambushers here right now. Production-wise, he's producing his robo, which is okay, but still no expansion. His ally has actually cleared his main expansion rocks, and Zeratul is not taking that expansion yet. Now, usually on Oblivion Express, what I normally do is I use my Zoriah Legion to just clear the expansion and clear my allies' expansion as well. It makes it a little bit easier to it just reduces the pressure on your ally to try and clear their own expansion. But Zeratul is going to be chilling over here, and he's going to be attacking this thing a little bit now. Still not picked up. I don't think he knows where his artifact fragment is. He knows roughly where it is now because the ping marker is showing on the map, but I don't think he knows exactly where it has spawned. Okay, there we go. He's finally found his artifact fragment, so he has gained a little bit of attack, and he has gotten his Tesseract Monolith upgrade, which is also pretty solid. He's put the Tesseract Monolith on the low ground over here. Usually not a wise idea, because the hybrids that will spawn from the trains will sometimes end up aggroing it, and if you have an attack wave that ends up pushing through, the attack wave will also end up clearing the Tesseract Monolith. And still no expansion. Okay, now he's put down his expansion. The probe is making its way here. This expansion is going to come down at a whopping 7 minutes and 15 seconds. That is the expansion drop time, which is again very not ideal, very late expansion here for Zeratul. And now there's an attack wave that is there, but this is a Terran composition. Classic infantry, not too bad. It's a very nice ground composition, but Immortals, not the way of dealing with this ground composition, unfortunately. You could make some disruptors, they work reasonably well against this kind of comp, but that one cybernetics core, actually, I don't think the Ghost will nuke Zeratul with the cybernetics core here, because I think one structure is not enough to get nuke active. But Zeratul has already used the Zoriah Legion, and he's pushing into the wrong side now. He actually wants to try and push into this Amon's base for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Missile turret over here does aggro a little bit of the Zoriah Legion. The bunker is also aggroing this, and now Zeratul wants to try and push in, and he has to be very careful. There's a siege tank over here, and Zeratul is basically fighting his own little battle here. He's doing his own thing. He's completely ignoring his ally. His ally is going to be okay. The ally already knows how to use the vultures and stuff, but Zeratul is pushing here, and there's now a Thor that is going to be aggroing the Zoriah Legion. But again, the Zoriah Legion pretty strong. Seeker Missile onto Zeratul's army, and Zeratul ends up clumping up and completely loses both his observers. There is another Seeker Missile, but the Seeker Missile does end up timing out and missing its shot on the Immortal here. Shield Guards are going to be regenerating the Immortal's HP, and Zeratul has kind of cleared this area out, but he still has to clear this one command center. Now, generally speaking, clearing the map is a very good idea, but Oblivion Express is one of those maps that is actually really difficult to clear. And the reason why it's so difficult to clear is because you're actually fighting in the middle of all the enemy bases. And once you clear this side, all that'll happen is an SCV will come in and it'll just start rebuilding everything. So you either do a full clear or you just don't bother clearing, because Amon is just going to rebuild all of this stuff. There's the Immortal that is running away from a bunch of Banshees. I'm not really sure why the Immortal is running away from Banshees, because the Immortal can actually hit air units like that. And it actually is very well equipped for dealing with those air units. So far so good. There's a random Ghost here as well, and that Ghost is going to eventually end up starting to drop nukes on our Zeratul player here. But the other thing I've realized is that the Robo, he only has a robotics facility, he doesn't have the robotics bay, which is going to be able to give him the unlimited load for the Warp Prism that this is the Laga Void Array or whatever it's called. So nothing is being produced right now for Zeratul, and Zeratul is sitting only at 3 worker saturation at the 11-minute mark on his expansion. So there's another Raven here that's going to be checking stuff out. That is the siege tank I was talking about earlier that will be shedding you from the high ground, and Zeratul has already lost 2 of the Void Templars that he has spawned. He does use a Zoriah Legion. Zeratul ends up getting wiped as well as he charges into the enemy force here. And then Zoriah Legion might be able to hold a little bit, but those Marines have a very high DPS, and that Zoriah Legion will eventually get wiped. And I think Zeratul actually lost his entire army. He lost all his Immortals because the siege tanks on the back line were shelling him. There's one Shield Guard here that's trying to give a little bit of attitude to the hybrid that ends up getting wiped. And now Raynor on the back line, and Raynor is going to end up wiping out this Dark Rain. So Zeratul has actually gotten completely wiped right now. He still has his Void Rays, which is kind of nice, I think. Okay, he has one Void Ray over here for some reason, but no saturation on that expansion. 12 minutes and 30 seconds, and we're sitting at 3 worker saturation right now, so that is going to be very bad for Zeratul. He's not going to have the minerals to be able to remax the army that he's losing. The siege tanks for Raynor, on the other hand, they are going to be standing strong, and they are not really going to care. You can see just a bunch of vultures just dropping the spire mines. By the way, if you are watching this and you are thinking, vultures, they seem like pretty fun units on this map, I highly encourage you to try it. They deal an insane amount of damage and they kill stuff so fast, especially the trains. If you're dealing with a ground comp, it's even better, because you don't need to build anything else. But don't build only vultures if you're dealing with an air comp. Build some Vikings, or build something that will deal with the air units. Raynor is just going to completely melt everything over here. Zeratul is looking for a second artifact fragment, and I don't think he knows where the artifact fragment is. He is still looking for it. Still looking for it. He's fighting his own little battle over here. He decides to take out the siege tank for some... He stopped looking for the artifact fragment and he wants to go and get the... Okay, now he's found the artifact fragment. So that is the second of 3 artifact fragments that Zeratul will need to pick up. So Zeratul is pretty much ready to go. The 3rd artifact fragment is already ready for pickup, and Zeratul is not going to do so. He has a bunch of probes over here that are not really doing anything. They would be much better utilized if they were actually mining. But I'm not sure what I'm not sure what this is. I guess they're inspecting the spire mines to make sure the spire mines are working, you know? One of the highest costs in any company is the maintenance cost, so you gotta make sure those mines are maintained, especially when they're not doing anything they're not doing much right now. Zeratul is transferring his army over here for reasons that I do not know. What is Zeratul looking at? He's looking at his ally. He's watching his ally right now. Why? Where did the train go? The train disappeared. Where did this train go? This train also disappeared. I have no idea what he's doing. I'm gonna take that off the first person view. His army is... Okay, his army is over here right now. And this artifact fragment is actually in the middle of the enemy base, which is somewhat ironic because he was actually pushing into the start of the game. The irony is just magnificent. We have nukes right now. There is a nuke right here, but there is some detection for Raynor. Raynor unloads that one marine. He's going to end up killing that ghost. And that should be a warning for Zeratul, is that you should be building some stuff. And there's another Banshee here. Scan. Banshee will end up getting picked off by Zeratul, but Zeratul is going to run. He's going to plow face first into this army, and this army has siege tanks on the back line. So he has to be somewhat careful. There's some siege tanks from Amon, but I think the siege tanks from Raynor are somewhat out of range, so Zeratul's army is going to get completely shelled. One ambusher goes down. There are a bunch of Tesseract monoliths. The Marines focus down Zeratul, and they just completely kick his butt. And now we have 3 siege tanks on the back line. And now there are a bunch of frantic pings from Raynor. Get out of the way, get out of the way! And this nuke is not going to be getting out of the way. And this one probe is looking at this red dot. Press F for that probe ends up getting wiped. That first nuke has dropped right on top of Zeratul's base. And Zeratul has realized that he has just gotten nuked. And now that ghost has stopped and is starting to attack the probes here. So not only is he not saturated on this base, now he is also not saturated on this base. The good thing is he has a bunch of spare workers, so this was all part of the plan. He's pulled the boys and he's actually attacking that one ghost. And that ghost has actually killed so many of those probes. And finally that probe ends up dying after pulling the boys, and now there is another nuke here, but Zeratul is having none of it. Zeratul has already lost 19 probes and pretty much his entire army. And yeah, he's not producing anything yet. So he's just gonna be waiting. So yeah, there was some kind of use to those, but he's still not saturated right now because he has lost a lot of probes there. His void array is ready, and what is Zeratul looking at right now? By the way, the 3rd artifact fragment has been available for the last, like, 5 minutes. And now Zeratul is going to unload his void array in this spot, which is again very, very weird. He's not even in the right spot to pick up his artifact fragment. Void array gets killed off, which means that there's no way of getting away from these enemy forces, and that down goes that immortal, and that one Tesseract monolith is going to get Yamato cannon to oblivion. Marines are going to try and focus that down. Down goes the Tesseract monolith. Down goes Zeratul. Zeratul Legion to try and exact some revenge against Amon's forces, but Amon has missile turrets and he has a battlecruiser which has Yamato'd. It's used as Yamato energy to clear that up, and now there is a nuke here onto Raynor's Spire Mine. So that is okay, that nuke is not really too big of a deal. It is unfortunate that those mines are going to get cleared. You can scan and kill the ghost off as well, so that's something that you can do, but that's actually kind of funny. Zeratul decided to drop a Tesseract monolith right on top of that ghost to try and get vision of the ghost, I think. Zeratul's Zeratul Legion is still over here. It's killing some stuff, but not really very much. Now Zeratul has respawned. Is he going to go for the next artifact fragment? I do not know. I do not know what he's producing. He's just producing probes right now because that is pretty much all that he wants to produce. No, he's going for a Void Templar and he's going for an Ambusher. So this next thing is going to be moved right over here. Zeratul is looking for his last artifact fragment and decides to go and attack the train instead, which is, I guess, is okay. But as soon as there's going to be some detection, Zeratul is going to be having a very, very bad day. The rest of these units, there's still a bunch of probes that are just parked over here. I'm not really sure why. Zeratul is just randomly poking around right now. And where is Zeratul's army? Zeratul is getting focused down by the Thor. There's a Marauder as well over here. And Zeratul should be okay, actually. He should not have too many issues dealing with this. These Banshees have ended up being cloaked, so they're not going to be... I think the Amon does not have any detection in that spot. But units-wise, yeah, the rest of Zeratul's army is probably just sitting inside the Void Array, I think. Finally, Zeratul has achieved full saturation at the 21 minute and 20 second mark. And now there's another ghost here that is spazzing out somehow. It has killed off some more of Zeratul's probes. Zeratul has now lost 20 probes. And this is, see, it's all part of the plan. He's rallied the rest of his probes over here. So he still maintains saturation. So this is what it was. Okay, so now I understand why those probes are sitting there. They were there for the inevitable nuke and the inevitable ghost that was just harassing ghost. Actually took off the shield from that. And now Zeratul is gonna get detected by a bunch of science vessels, and those marines are gonna be stimming, and Zeratul just gets melted by the army of Amon. And does he's still not picked up the artifact fragment, which is also somewhat very, very frustrating. Not the nuke over here, this is okay. That will get cleared up by Raynor, no problem. But you can see these fire mines are gonna be getting a lot of value. And all that is left now are a bunch of science vessels, maybe a few siege tanks on the back line, but Zeratul is producing a few more units here. He's putting down 2 cannons. So, funnily enough, he's put down the 2 cannons in the spot that the cannons are not really required. Cannons should have been put here on the top of the ramp, or on the top here. Zeratul, very luckily enough, didn't get nuked very much, but he did end up losing a few of his probes. But Zeratul has spawned. And what is Zeratul going to do? Is he going to pick up his last artifact fragment? I don't think he's going to be able to pick up his last artifact fragment. He's used his Royal Legion again in this spot. He wants that artifact fragment that's stuck in the middle of enemy base, and he still doesn't know where it is. He's going to send it across, and now the Science vessels are going to be there, and they're going to detect him. Is Zeratul going to die again? He's totally gonna die, isn't he? There's a siege tank over here. He's still looking for that artifact fragment. He doesn't know where it is. Siege tanks, banshees, everything is just like he's aggroed everything but the kitchen. He finally found the artifact fragment, but he can't pick it up because the mission is gone. The train damage, 132,000 train damage for the Raynor ally, and 2,000 damage for Zeratul. He's so close, yet so far. But those are all the trains done, and that is GG.